I am so excited for yet another epic Rebel Radio conversation with my new friend, Neil. Welcome to the show, Neil. I'm so glad that you're here today.
Oh, I am super excited, Cindy. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So before we went live, I shared a little bit of your numerology with you. And I'm curious, what was something that you took away from that conversation that really landed for you?
Oh, about how spot on things are.
You really can't make this shit up.
You're converted. I'm converted.
I love it. It's math, right? So it just, yeah, that's how I see it, is it's just our mathematical code, and you can't make math up. It is science. So I love that. So tell us a little bit about who is Neil? Who are you?
Oh, Christy, I'll tell you. So this is an interesting answer, or interesting question. I am a soul on an evolutionary journey to bring love and peace and harmony to the world. And that's what my book is about.
I love
and you are a soul on an evolutionary journey. Everybody is. So
everybody is, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your book. What's your book about? What inspired you to write the book?
Okay, so we'll get to the name of the book and everything later on. So what inspired me to write it? So I was born in 1960 and professional engineer with an MBA. And from 2002 to 2015, I was in consulting at that period. And I slowly drove myself to the brink of suicide. And at 2015, I realized I was in this really deep and dark depression, and I wanted to get out of it. So I picked up some spiritual books. I picked up science books. I tried to change how I thought. Couldn't happen. Didn't happen. Our house finally sold after being on the market for 5 years. My wife went to Toronto, Ontario, Canada to visit family. And I sat down at this little one-bedroom rental kitchen table and crafted my suicide note. And I was planning it out for 3 months, so I could say goodbye to loved ones without them knowing what I was going to do, and ensure my wife would be okay financially before I pulled the trigger. Wow. And then some material had just fortuitously come to me a week prior to that, and it promised to liberate me from my thinking if I studied it and followed it. And I was looking for any sliver of hope to, hang on. Even though I was done with life, it's just like, what's the purpose? I make a lot of money. I spend a lot of money. I can't get ahead. I was totally miserable. And we're all great actors in our environment. We put on this facade. We can project whatever we want to family, friends, clients. No one knew. And anyway, so I put the suicide, I pushed it. I crafted my note. I planned it. I put the note away. I decided I'd study this material, and if it worked, great. And if it didn't, then I could pull the trigger. And a year later, I woke up. My depression was entirely gone. I was full of this inner peace and love and joy, and I wanted to share it with the world. And 13 months after I began this process, I went into 2 meditations, 2 days apart. And as you go through this process, you raise your human consciousness vibrational level. The spiritual energy flowed into my head, throughout my body, entirely engulfed me in unconditional love. And we don't have the human language to describe it, but I felt totally cradled in unconditional love, not judged. I didn't care about what I had done in the past, what anybody had done in the past to me. I didn't care what aches and pains my body had, what illnesses it had. I just wanted to stay there forever. And I had 2 of those 2 days apart. And as soon as I had those 2 experiences, I knew that what I learned was true, and I wanted to share it with everybody. And so I thought, I'd like to share this from the rooftops. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to be looked at like an idiot. So took me a couple years to figure out the best way to do that. It's to write a book. So I wrote a book, and I shared the exact process that I went through in the hopes that it will help people, come into this entirely new way, a new experience of life and understand what life really is. and express unconditional love to everyone and everything in their environment. And eventually, as we each shift our consciousness and we learn this material and we follow this process or processes like it, we will bring this world into a new era of love and peace. And that's the goal of my book.
I love that so much. What a powerful story to go through just the dark depths of the soul to come through the other side. And thank you for sharing this work in the world.
Thank you. I'm glad we're here. You're listening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So something that you touched on in that was this idea of consciousness. And this is something that I asked every guest, and every guest has a different definition, which I love so much. What does unity consciousness mean to you?
Well, let me tell you what consciousness means to me. So we'll back up and we'll talk what people think. So a lot of people will say that we are matter imbued with consciousness. And so if you read my book and you follow the 7 steps, you'll actually understand what I'm about to say. We are not matter imbued with consciousness. That's a fallacy. We are consciousness made visible through the descent of vibrational frequency of electrical particles.
Boom! Right there. I love that. That's a great definition. Continue.
So this body we think is solid. It becomes our identity. Our little I mind of ego is created at the time of conception. Our soul is infused in that process. Our soul is here on an evolutionary journey over many lifetimes in varying genders, varying places of origin, varying cultures, religions, ethnicities. And it's all here in this evolutionary process to learn the lessons it wants to learn and experience the variety of feelings and have the variety of experiences that it wants to experience. We come from unconditional love. We return to unconditional love. And we are here. We are not here to please God. We are here to express God. But while our egos are in control, we create the strife and the anger and the vitriolic outrage and the wars in this world. And we are here to express unconditional love. But this is a divinely ordained process for the soul to learn for the soul to learn to finally wake up, understand what it's doing to itself, and go through a process to gain mastery over your life while you're here, to express unconditional love to everyone and everything in your environment. Oh. And yeah, we could go on. I could go on and on. and so let me tell you this analogy.
Yes, please.
We're like method actors. We come here, the ego takes control of our bodies and of the construction of the body through using life force energy, intelligent life force energy, and constructs the body to this genetic plan. And as we grow from babyhood to adulthood, we think we're becoming versed in the ways in the world. But what we're really doing is we're binding down our soul and we're shutting it off from the light, from the connection with the divine. When the soul finally wakes up, then what we need to do is go through this process, and this is all described in my book. You go through this process where you cleanse yourself of all the things that that's embedded in your thinking patterns, in your subconscious, in your unconscious mind that you have programmed. Your ego is programmed. And you dissolve these bondages of the ego to allow the soul to start to gain mastery in your life. And when your soul starts to gain mastery, you go through this process of connecting back with the divine. You get help with this process, and you dissolve these bondages to finally be this pure expression of unconditional love. And that might take a number of lifetimes to happen, but that's the process that you go through. And then when your soul finally gains mastery in whichever lifetime that is, when this body dies and returns to dust, it's ephemeral. The soul is infinite and eternal, and it will move on, and it will not need to be reincarnated again. It will step into the light, and that is when your real life begins.
I love that. I love what you said too, that we're not here to please God. We're here to be expressions of God. I love that. It's really powerful.
And it's all true.
It's all true. Exactly. And that right there is why you and I are friends now. I love it. So tell us a little bit about some of maybe the rituals or habits that you have in place to stay devoted to unity consciousness as an entrepreneur, as an author. You're doing things in the material experience. So how do you stay devoted to that?
So let me tell you, when you begin this process, you're going to learn new knowledge. And you're going to impress new brain cells with new knowledge, and they operate at a higher vibrational frequency at the top of your head underneath the skull. As you grow through this process, you grow that opening, and that enables you to connect back with the divine. And when you make this connection with the divine and the spiritual energy flows into you, so you do this through a specific meditation and through a specific process of cleansing and rebuilding. And when you do this, you make this connection with the divine. And once you understand and you have these experiences where you know that what you now know is true, you will carry on with this process. So what's the ritual? The ritual is I meditate every morning, and I meditate when I get in bed at night. And I have this strong connection with the divine, and it inspires me, and it gives me instructions, and it tells me, it gives me suggestions or instructions about what I should be doing, but I still have free will. And the free will is this part of the ego that if you let the ego take that free will, it can lead you astray. So if you release your will and you follow the will of the divine that is expressing itself through you, you bring all of the peace, the security, the love, the joy that you are looking for. It's all inside you. You just need to know how to unlock it. Unfortunately, we let our externalities drive our world. What you see is merely a reflection of your beliefs. You change your beliefs, you change what you see. And when you go through this process, you change your beliefs, you change what you see, and you just want to bring love to the world.
Yeah, I love it. Spoken like a true 6 right there. So good. So as an entrepreneur, we see a lot of these old school marketing tactics and all of these things. It's manipulative and, that scarcity mindset and things like that. And I'm curious, how do you go about your marketing your book, for example, without falling back into the old ways of doing business?
So this is going to be leveraged onto so we'll come to your question. You program your mind and you adopt these beliefs and these patterns of thinking. Mm-hmm. And most of us let our externalities drive our world. That reinforces your thinking. When you actually understand that we live in this duality, that your soul is your reality, this body is just this tool, for you to learn the lessons that you need to learn when you're on this school on earth, then you will start to learn and understand that if you think nutrition is good for your body, and it is the right nutrition, what you feed your mind is more important for your overall health and well-being than what you feed your body. So when you understand the kinds of things that you individually and collectively that we feed our minds, you will understand what is harmful and destructive to the soul, and you will want to cleanse yourself of those things. So I don't engage in any of the things that are harmful to my soul. When I see a soul today, when I see a person today, I see their soul. Their soul is perfect. Their soul is unconditional love, is equal to my soul. And anything that they're doing that's reprehensible is merely the expression of their ego to create the experiences that they need to draw into their life to learn the lessons that they need to learn. And it's a law of cause and effect. What you put into motion through your individual thinking and feeling must manifest. What we collectively put into motion with our collective thinking and feeling through the reading of all of the scary things in the newspaper and all the anger and outrage and all the marketing stuff that happens, and what you watch in film and TV, the destructive consciousness forms that are created. When we collectively are thinking about those things, we're putting into motion stuff that must manifest. So things are going to get worse in this world until we individually change our consciousness and then collectively change our consciousness to become in alignment with who we really are. And who we really are is our soul. We are unconditional love. And so what do? I don't engage.
Beautiful. I love that answer. And, you know, it's true. The more we love, the more we stop even focusing on those things. And, you know, like, I just don't even care about the news or what's going on anymore, because I'm not, the engagement's not even there. It's not like I had to consciously make a decision to stop watching the news. I consciously made a decision to love more, and therefore the news just kind of fell away from me. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
So good. So another question that we love to talk about here at Rebel Radio is the question of wealth. And this is a question that every guest has a different definition as well. What does wealth mean to you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to start with what it doesn't mean. It's got nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with money or material things or goods.
Yep.
Wealth is your connection with the divine. You are created to bring the divine down through your mind, through your creative processes, and express it to the world. Wealth is this, ability to do this, to bring the divine down so that the divine can express itself through you and to the material world, to be a beacon of light for others, to be curious about, to be drawn to help them go through this process, this inner journey to come back to who they really are. Yeah. And so wealth is really about helping other people. When you are a purified channel, when you think with electrical impulses in the brain, you feel with magnetic impulses in the nervous system. The magnetic impulses center and bond your electrical thinking, which is a consciousness plan, into a blueprint. And the more you reinforce that blueprint and charge it with the electromagnetic feelings that you have, be it a happy feeling, a loving feeling, or a hateful feeling, you magnetize this blueprint to create a like experience or event in your lifetime. You create everything that comes into your life, whether you feel it's a good thing or a bad thing. And when you understand these consciousness forces and how we use the laws of the universe through these scientifically known mechanisms to create every event and every experience into our life, you can then make a conscious decision to start unwinding yourself and to cleanse yourself, to be this expression of unconditional love. And when you're fully cleansed and you are a purified channel, you will be able to manifest anything into this world that you desire. But your desire will not be for anything personal. It'll be for what's good for your environment, your community, and your country and the world. You will want to express unconditional love and bring that to everybody in the world.
Yeah, all about the love. I love it. More love. Let's just sprinkle that shit on everything, right?
Exactly.
I love it. So tell us, what is one truth that you wish every entrepreneur knew? Every healer, every coach, every spiritual teacher, those of us who are in the online space trying to make this thing work and try to spread this message, what do you wish they knew?
I think that, a lot, so there's two types of people. Mm-hmm. So let's deal with the general masses first.
Okay.
So the one thing I think everybody needs to know, whether you're wealthy or poor, ill or healthy, or happy or depressed, you are in control of what you bring into your life through your thinking and your feeling. And when you can understand these processes, understand what was before the Big Bang, the impetus for the Big Bang, what happened at the time of the Big Bang, and how we use these materialized processes to create every event and every experience in our life, you can then learn these processes to cleanse and to rebuild and to become this purified expression of unconditional love, and everything that you're seeking in peace, joy, safety, and security will come into your life. For all of the people that are already knowledgeable about this stuff, the big thing is that no matter what you do, you still have to go through this inner cleansing of your consciousness and rebuilding it. And I know that there's many spiritual teachers out there that are very successful, and they continue to teach and sell things which are helpful to people, but maybe not totally on point. And, there's nothing that is, there's no instant gratification on any of this. It takes time, energy, and effort to do it. And if you have the right process and you have the new knowledge, you can become this beacon of light for others to learn. And there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. It's just whether you're ready to do this process or not.
I love it. I love it. Well, we're going to make sure that everybody knows how to find your book. So if anyone is interested in the audience, you can see it in the show notes. We'll make sure that everybody has the links to go find that, because I'm excited to read your book. Very excited. I want to thank you for being on the show today. But as always, we end the show with one last question. What do you dream of for the world?
I dream of a world where we live in complete peace and harmony and love and support of each other. And we have moved away from the selfishness and the greed and the desire for more material goods at the expense of other people and at the expense of this planet.
Beautiful dream. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you very much. And it was a pleasure to be here.